Hello, everybody. Welcome to what to focus on during the holidays to nail your career positioning in 2024. Let's get into it. You're in the right place today. If you are an ambitious professional, if you are someone who wants to take charge of your career, if you're tired of not getting paid what you're worth and you want to get paid what you're worth, if you want to get more interviews, if you want to start taking some action and owning your career. And you're also in the right place if you want to be entered in an opportunity to get one of 7 free coaching sessions with me. We'll share that with you a little bit later in the presentation. So stick around for that, and that's coming up. So now getting back into how the job search sucks. I'm guessing I don't need to explain too much to the folks out there about this, but you're probably used to submitting your resume into some black hole of an ATS, which is the most overrated, misunderstood pieces of software. And ATSs stand for application tracking software, and people get their resume swallowed up by that. People are getting rejected, denied, ghosted for jobs that they are perfectly qualified for, and the burnout is real. The job search can be lonely, it can be time consuming, it can be filled with rejection, and it can come with no feedback, which is really hard to improve your processes without that feedback. The job search can feel like you are in the midst of a black hole. And you hear tons of advice. So just go on to LinkedIn. I just checked LinkedIn earlier today for how many career coaches there were. There were 135,000 career coaches, and there were 1.4 million resume writers on LinkedIn. So there are people on LinkedIn chirping in your ears about posting on LinkedIn to try to get noticed. That shit doesn't work. There's another career coach out there who says this exact word: research the heck out of the companies, because that will get you the interview. It's not going to get you the interview. It's not going to get you the job. You need to do some high-level research. You don't need to research the heck out of any company to get that job. There are people out there that are telling you to try to put every word in the book to try to beat the ATS. Again, the ATS, application tracking software, misunderstood, overrated. There are real human beings that are looking at your application, and you need to get past the humans, not past the software. Also, I want to share that job acquisition, and that's what I call it, not job search. And we'll talk a little bit why I call it job acquisition, but it is a learnable skill. So in the course of my career, I have had 29 jobs. I've worked for 21 companies, and I've been pretty poor at getting those jobs early on. But throughout the course of my career, I learned that there is a way to get more interviews, to get more offers, and to make more money. Just like riding a bike is a learnable skill, just like taking a test is something that you can prepare for. You can learn how to acquire a job. And actually, when you break it down, there is a simple and formulaic process that will get you more interviews, that will get you more offers, and that will land you more money. And if you don't want more interviews, you don't want more offers, you don't want more money, you can drop off now. But I'm seeing a lot more people actually joining as we're digging in here. So I'm guessing that people would like some more money and better jobs. A little bit about me. A lot of you may have seen me on LinkedIn or know me personally. There's some people here that I personally invited here, but some people that are also joining. A little bit about me. I am one of the top 1% interviewers in the world. I am not a recruiter. I am very different than a recruiter. Recruiters are gatekeepers. I have been a hiring manager. I have hired people in customer success, in operations, in marketing, and finance, because I've held all those roles at companies. So I've looked at about 10,000 resumes myself. I've interviewed about 2,000 people. I've hired hundreds of people. I've promoted people, I've fired people, I've done all sorts of things as a hiring manager. So I understand how the system works from the inside. Then as an outsider perspective, I've probably interviewed for 1,000 different roles in my career. I have held 29 jobs at 21 companies. I've had 38 bosses. Only 9 of them were assholes. Most of them were actually pretty good. So I've been there as a candidate as well. Then before I started academic careers in July of 2020, I did a lot of research to understand what the process looks like of getting a job. I thought I knew it, and I just wanted to confirm my hypothesis. So I just interviewed a lot for roles. I applied to 300 roles. I interviewed for 117 of them. I actually got to the final rounds of 20 of them, and 5 of those resulted in offers. And during that process, I was actually studying and breaking down the process. and confirming that the interview process is actually quite predictable. And I'll share exactly how that goes later in the presentation. And then finally, I'd be remiss to say that some of my experience and insight comes from the benefit of education and privilege that I've been afforded. So I was fortunate enough to be born in a decent zip code, and zip code happens to be a big predictor of people's success. I was fortunate enough to be born to two loving parents that were able to afford state college tuition for me. I went to Binghamton University, a SUNY. I was able to also get into one of the top MBA schools in the world. And I learned a lot along the way. And now I'm here to share that with you. Also, as I was developing academic careers, it's not all about the information in my head. I went out and reached out to a series of coaches, series of experts in the industry to understand exactly how the hiring process works. Here are some of the coaches that we work with at Academic Careers. There's 8 other coaches that we work with that are not on this slide. I also got feedback from Adam Grant as we were developing the Academic Careers business model. I don't know if you know Adam Grant. He's a social psychologist from University of Pennsylvania, and he actually gave us feedback on the Academic Careers model. So as we're building this out, a program and a system to get people more interviews, offers, and money, he actually weighed in as well. So it's not all my ideas. It's really the best ideas that have come in here to help people understand how the job search works. So we're going to try to stop using the term job search. I don't like using the term job search because job search means like you're just looking around without any clear method or madness to your process. Instead, what I like to call it is job acquisition. What you are looking for is to acquire a job, acquire an opportunity that will pay you what you're worth, that is a place that aligns with your values and your interests. So forget this job search, forget the job hunt. Let's be more proactive and let's think about how we acquire the job that we are seeking. A lot of my talk is a little bit more tech focused, but we work with people across all different industries here. We get people jobs at Johnson & Johnson, at Cap One, at L'Oreal. The process is essentially the same. I've gotten jobs in my career in baseball and venture capital. We will talk about job acquisition. There are subtle differences in some industries, but essentially the framework that we're going to be teaching you here today will help you get these jobs even during this holiday season. Now, job acquisition begins now. Before we get into job acquisition, I want to lay out some common obstacles that people come to me with. So I talk to people all the time at parties, at events, family, friends, and so forth. And they often come to me complaining that they're not happy in their job, or they're not satisfied, or they want something better. Then I ask them, why not? Why are you not doing something about it? And they tell me they're too old, they've jumped around too much, that they're an underrepresented minority, and it's hard to get a job like that they don't like the idea of pitching themselves and marketing themselves. And these are all real concerns, but they are all things that you can get past if you have a method, a framework, and a plan of action to take. And we're going to share that with you today. What we've developed.
Actually, wait, hold on a second. I'm actually curious if you go back to the last slide. Do any of these hit home for you, for anybody? Throw them in the chat if these hit home, or like give us a thumbs up. These are what our clients have said. So these are what we've heard, and these are kind of how we've developed the program to work with. So we've definitely helped people with their interview skills, and the holidays are a great opportunity to kind of refine your pitch and work on this so that you can take advantage of that. And anyway, Alan will go into more, but I just see that you guys are putting stuff in here, and these are very common. You're not alone, as you can clearly tell.
Thank you, Darcy. And a very common one is we're in the middle of a recession. The job market's tough. Yes, it is tough, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But there is a way, there is a solution, there isn't a framework that will get you more interviews, will get you more offers, will get you more money, and we will talk about it shortly here. It's called the growth framework. It's something that we've trademarked. It is a formula that will just work, and we'll take you through it a little bit today. And we are not just trying to postulate and come up with all these nifty frameworks that are just hypothetically or theoretically working. This stuff works. These are real results that you see here, and we'll share some other results throughout today's talk where we help people get jobs in 3.39 months, and we help people get $139,000 more after working with us than before. So we're going to show you exactly how to do that. And then my favorite thing, negotiating for people's offers. And we help people negotiate for what they're worth. And on average, we get people $38,000 more compensation from their initial offer that they get. So first step of the growth framework, the G in growth stands for goals and the importance of clarifying your goals. Not sure if anyone has heard of Stephen Covey or read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I remember the first two off the top of my head, definitely. The first one is be proactive. So the fact that you're here today, taking action on your career, congrats to you. You are being proactive with your career and you're taking charge. The second habit that he talks about in his book is starting with the end in mind or understanding where you want to go. And it makes so much sense. If you don't know where you're going, it's really hard to get there. And we'll talk now about how to clarify these goals.
And Juan says, sharpen your saw is one of them.
Sharpen your saw. I think that's the seventh one. I think after you do all them, I think that's the seventh one, I believe. I forget the order. But as you think about where you want to go in your career, as you think about what job you want, I can't tell you what companies to focus on. I can't tell you what job to focus on. What you need to do is be a little bit introspective and understand what's important to you, what values matter to you. Thinking back in my career, there was a point in my career when I worked in minor league baseball when I was really passionate about following a pursuit that I was really passionate about, that I was really excited about. I worked in baseball for a year. I worked for the New York Mets, and then I worked for the Toronto Blue Jays minor league affiliates. I thought I wanted to be Billy Beane, the general manager who is written about in the book Moneyball, not the Brad Pitt actor, but the actual front office general manager of the Oakland A's. I thought I wanted to do that for a while. And I figured out a path to do that. Now in my career, I'm doing very different things. My kids are older. They don't really want to hang out with me. I've also been motivated to accelerate careers. So now I'm doing that. So think about what is important for you at this time in your life. What values matter to you? Katie and Darcy will be looking there as you're thinking about what sort of company you want to work for, what sort of jobs you want to work for, what's important for you in your career and your next job. As you think about that, it's important to crystallize which sort of companies, which sort of organizations align with your values. So if you are someone who cares about work-life balance and leaving the office at 5 o'clock every day, you may not want to put Amazon on your list. If you're someone that wants to do innovative things and move fast, you might put Google on your list, you might put Stripe on your list, whatever. But think about, based on your values back here, think about what companies you want to target, because if you're just waiting for companies to come to you, it ain't going to happen. So it's really important for you to think which companies you want to focus on. And Darcy, if you want to yell a few of those out, I'd be curious to hear what some companies are that folks are mentioning.
Oh, yeah, sure. Honeywell, Booking.com, ABC, NBC, Pinterest, Airbnb, Apple, Google, Meta. What else is in here?
What? No one wants to work for X? Lots of good companies out there, but it's really important to think about those companies. And what we generally advise with Kadima, this is something I learned back in business school that just seems to work. 40 is a great number to work with. Identify 40 companies that you want to target in your search. You don't have to have them all equally weighted, but you really need to have a big selection set of companies so that you can start your search and you can wind up at a place where you want to go rather than wait to be hit on in a bar by some crappy company that is trying to recruit you. Here's the story of Marissa. Marissa came to me and she was initially aiming for like second tier tech companies. She was coming from a recruiting consulting firm and she was a very talented woman. She was neurodiverse, lots of years of recruiting program management, and she wasn't pushing herself enough. What you see here actually is a spreadsheet that she was using from the Kadima framework. We call it the Kadima accountability tracker. We put a little pressure on her and said, hey, Marissa, come up with more than these like 10 companies, come up with 40 companies and think where you want to go, not where you think you can get into. So she added a bunch of companies on there, including Netflix. And through the process that we worked with her, she actually wound up getting an interview at Netflix. Then we helped her prepare for those interviews at Netflix. And now she is working at Netflix as a program manager in the recruiting side, making north of 200K, more money than she's ever earned before, increasing her compensation, and at a company that she never thought that she was capable of getting to. It's really important to set those goals, because if you don't have those goals, you don't have those targets in mind, it's really hard to get there. Component number 2, realistically leveraging your strengths. I talked about Adam Grant earlier. He has a great podcast. I think it's called Work Rules, or I don't know. And he had Reese Witherspoon on his podcast. And one part of the conversation came up about how she wound up in the acting field. And she talked about as a child, she really wanted to be an athlete. She played, I forget what sports she played in high school, but she was okay. She wasn't great. And she quickly came to realize that she was a much better actress. And she pursued her talents. And what she told Adam, when Adam was asking for some career advice that she would offer, is not to necessarily chase your dreams, but chase your talents. And I think that this is so important as you're looking for a job, because if you think from the hiring manager's perspective, and the hiring manager is the decision maker on your getting the job or not getting the job, they want someone that has strengths, that has that capability to do the job. And everybody has strengths to lean on. It could be functions that you're strong at. It could be level of leadership that you've worked with. It could be some high profile projects that you worked on. It could be companies you've worked at. It could be companies you've worked with. It could be schools that you've gone to. I want to share a story about Marty. Marty came to me and he wanted to get paid more. He wanted to work at a more innovative company. He wanted to work at a faster pace organization, but he was having a hard time leaving the teaching profession, the teaching world. He worked for Teach for America, great organization, by the way. Some of my best hires ever were former TFA folks while at Google. They weren't a TFA at Google, but we hired them out of Teach for America. They became two of my best hires. Marty was really strong with business analytics and BI and data insight. We worked with him to leverage those strengths, and he started looking at roles for BI and data analytics sort of roles at some companies that moved faster, that paid better, that were more aligned with what his values were. And after working with him for a little bit over 3 months, he got a job at Block, formerly known as Square, and he's a business analyst there. He's still working with us here at Kadima, and he is leveraging those strengths, which have come in so handy, because not only did that enable him to get the job, but once he landed that job, then he was able to hit the ground running, leveraging his strengths that he had. So this is not to say that you cannot pivot industries. Marty pivoted from a nonprofit organization to a high-paced tech organization. But as you look to that pivot, you should lean on your strengths and leverage the strengths that you have. Because again, think about from the hiring manager's perspective, they want to hire people that have done it, that have that expertise, that can come in and hit the ground running. Component number 3, this one, especially during the holiday seasons, and we're talking about the holiday seasons where the interview pace is going to slow down a little bit, because a lot of the people that are going to interview you are maybe taking some time with their family, but those same people that might be interviewing you are all of a sudden going to be willing to talk to you. So everybody has a network. Everybody does. Not everyone's network is as large as mine. This is mine currently, but everybody has connections. Everybody here has a LinkedIn profile, because I think I've probably connected with most of you on LinkedIn. And for those that haven't, please do connect with me on LinkedIn. Love connecting with folks. But put in the chat window here how large your network is now. And this is not like a size, like the fact that I have 29,000 connections, I don't know all 29,000 of them. I probably can remember like about 5,000 of them, but I accept connections from most people anyway. But everybody has a network to start with, and then we'll show you a little bit about how to build that network even further. There are some people out there that say post stuff online, get followers. Followers are not going to get you a job. Connections will get you the job. And when you have those connections, whether they are loose connections, people that you know from your childhood, from college, from past jobs, or new connections. The goal is to take those online connections on LinkedIn or those connections that you have and move them offline, move them to IRL in real life and connect with them. And this is one of the most important lessons that I learned back in business school, to learn the power of informational interviews. And informational interviews are sometimes called coffee chats, virtual coffee chats. These are essentially one-on-one conversation where the goal is to learn and to earn. And when I say learn about the industry, learn about the individual, learn about how you might be able to fit in within that organization, learn about other companies that you may want to target in your search. And if you're fortunate, if the conversation goes well, to earn a referral. And I always say, earn the referral. Do not ask for a referral, because when you ask for a referral, everybody's going to say yes to your face that they'll refer you, and less than half will actually follow through on that. I've seen it time and time again. So these informational interviews are something critical that we teach at Kadima and are the key to open up opportunities for you. Holidays coming up. And who doesn't like the office holiday party? Holidays are great times where you're seeing friends, family, you're dancing with Michael Scott, getting drunk. And as you are meeting with people at holiday parties, as you're seeing friends, family, it's a good opportunity to build relationships, to tell people, to just drop a subtle hint that, hey, in the new year, I'm looking for something new. I'm looking for these sort of companies. Any advice that you can give me? So you can build these relationships during the holiday time as well. And you don't just need to be going to holiday parties. There's plenty of ways to build your network, build your relationships, whether it's alumni groups, whether it is a PTA organization that you're part of, conferences that you attend, whether virtual or in person. These are all great opportunities to forge new relationships, to build relationships, to get to learn about that individual, learn about those companies and those organizations, and earn referrals. Here's a great story about Bharath. Bharath came to us and he was really struggling to find a job. He actually had a great background. He had a pretty big name brand school on his resume, University of Chicago, and he was having a damn hard time landing interviews. So we worked with him, and the key for him landing interviews was building relationships. And he built relationships at lots of different companies. He got interviews at Stripe. He got rejected there. He got interviews at Salesforce, got rejected there. He got introduced to Amazon through referral. He got the offer there. He was prepared. We prepared him for the Amazon interviews. He got that job. He was not so happy there for some reasons we can talk about. He got thrown around to 3 different managers within a month of his time there. And then when he had Amazon on his resume, all of a sudden some other contact that he had previously reached out to him and said, hey, we have this senior director role opportunity at ADP. That connection opened that door for him. And now he is earning nearly $250,000 as a senior director at ADP. And it's really because of the relationships that he built that opened the door. And then we prepared him to knock down that opportunity through those interviews. After you leverage those relationships and build those relationships, and when I say leverage those relationships, it should be mutually beneficial. It's not all about take. And again, going back to Adam Grant, he has a great book called Give and Take. And actually, people that give tend to be more effective. So we teach people in these informational interviews how to be givers in those conversations too. But once you get the door open, once you get the interview, you need to understand how the system works, how the interview process works. And it's all a game. Like, again, through my 1,000 or 2,000 jobs I've interviewed for, through the 300 that I researched on as I was forming Kadima, it's all an effing game here. And we're going to teach you the rules of how the game is played. There are 3 primary ways that people can be considered for a job. One, you can cold apply, and you can apply on LinkedIn, you can apply on Indeed, you can apply on Monster, you can apply on Glassdoor, or you can apply on the first-party website. You should always apply on the first-party websites. I can talk about that during the Q&A why. But if you apply at the right place, at the right time for the right roles, you might get fortunate enough to have an interview. The second way you can get an interview is if you are actively recruited. So if you went to a good school, if you work at a good company, if you have the job title that they are looking for, you might be fortunate enough to have a recruiter reach out to you take every interview, take that opportunity. But I can tell you, of the 29 jobs I had, well, actually, only one of them came because someone came to me and said, hey, I have a good opportunity for you. Maybe it was 2, but only 2 out of those 29 came to me. Everything else was this third channel, the referrals. Referrals are the most underutilized channel. Only 7% of people leverage referrals, but 40% of hires come through referrals. This is where the opportunities exist. People talk about the hidden job market. I don't believe in the hidden job market. I just call it prematurely posted jobs, or jobs that are created by you through your conversations. These are where these roles come. So this is your best chance of success. 24 out of my 29 jobs came because someone put in a kind word on my behalf. If you're fortunate enough to get into one of those 3 points of entry, you get past that yellow area with the ATS and the resume reviews where you're competing with thousands or hundreds of people, you get to speak to a human. Congratulations, you get into that blue area. And if you get past a recruiter, you get past a hiring manager, you get past the loops, you might be that fortunate one to get that offer. But this is what we call the job acquisition funnel. This is how it works in almost every situation. Now, little interactivity here. Thinking about the job acquisition funnel and how you are proceeding with there. Thinking back over the last 60 days. So we just started December here. So thinking back to October, last 60 days, how many applications do you imagine that you have submitted? Next up, interviews. How many of those applications led to an interview with an actual human being? And I'm not talking about these video-based interviews that are occurring now. There's ways to crack the video-based. And when I say like a video, like an algorithmic one-way conversation on a recording, but how many of these led to an interview, whether over Zoom or in person? Then how many of those interviews led to offers? And here we tend to see a lot of zeros, because if you're getting a lot of offers, you're probably not coming here to understand how to get more interviews, offers, and money. So let's diagnose what's going on here. On the application side, some people that are shooting, like saying 300 applications and 0 interviews, you're probably not applying for the right roles at the right place at the right time, and you're probably not leveraging referrals. People that aren't getting those applications in, there's a different issue there. You might be opting yourself out. We tend to see that women and people of color, not just we, there's data out there that people will self-select out of applying for a role. They'll see 10 requirements in a job description. And there's research out there that if men see 2 things that they can do, 8 things that they can't do, they will still get the application in. Women might see 8 things that they can do, 2 things that they can't do, and will not even apply for the job. So apply for the jobs if you're not getting those applications in. Then if you're not getting the interviews, it means that you're probably not leveraging the referral channel. You're probably not applying for the right sort of jobs at the right time. If you're not getting offers, you're getting a lot of interviews and not getting offers. We'll talk about that shortly, about how to get those offers, but you're probably not preparing for those interviews. And you might be opting yourself out too early of the process. So there's lots of ways that we can understand what's going on with your, based on number of applications, number of interviews, and number of offers that we're seeing. Does this resonate with folks? Is this something that people are not seeing? Because this is what we've seen. This is what we've heard. So now let's talk about component 5. Training and tenacity for interviews. There's 2 sides of interviews. On the negative side, I think there's probably no convincing I need to do here that interviews can be unfair, they can be inefficient, they can be poorly conducted. You will be rejected for roles that you're perfectly qualified for. Everybody knows the downside of interviews. But on the flip side, they are damn consistent. And the beauty of things being consistent is you can plan and prepare for them and backwards engineer for a way to optimize for that. And that's exactly what we've done. So there are 3 stages of interviews. And this, again, has happened in 90+% of interviews. Sometimes there's a couple of quirks here or there, but most interviews start with a recruiter screen. That recruiter is looking to knock you out. They are talking to 10 to 20 people. They're looking for reasons to X you out so that they can only bring 5 to 8 people to the hiring manager to talk to. So they're looking for knockout factors. Then when you get to the hiring manager cares primarily about 2 things. 1, can you do the job that I need you to do? So I have this opening on my team. Can you do it? Can you demonstrate can you demonstrate that you have the capability? Secondly, can I manage you? Because I'm going to be your boss. So you need that rapport. Then if you get past the hiring manager, that hiring manager you will probably see again during the loops, along with 3 or 4 other people. And that hiring manager is only going to use those 4 other people's time if you pass the first 2 rounds. And in the loops are, it's called the loops or the panel or the on-site interviews. It's called different things at different companies. The loops are primarily asking a few things, mostly questions that are behavioral-based questions. So a question like, tell me about a time you had to deliver exceptional sales results with minimal resources. And there is a way to respond to that. I learned in business school for $138,000. You can just Google it. It's called the STAR method. The situation, task, action, result is how you answer those questions. But there's ways to answer those better as well. So they're going to ask you behavioral-based interviews. You might get asked a couple of case-based questions. But if you are applying to roles that are leveraging your strength, those case interviews will be back of hand for you. And that's primarily what's happening at the loop stage. At each stage of interviews, there are essentially 4 phases. You will see this time after time. First few minutes, rapport building. Until AI takes over the whole interview process, which I don't think is coming anytime soon, you need to build rapport. You need to win over somebody. You need them to be positively inclined for you. So you need to build that rapport early on. Secondly, the most popular interview question of all time. Tell me about yourself. Or what brought you here today? Or walk me through your resume. You need to have that buttoned down 3 minutes or less, and ideally ending with something personal or whimsical, again, to build that rapport with that individual. Third stage, questions for you. These questions are extremely simple to predict. If you look at the job description, you look at your resume, and if you've done those informational interviews, and they are very preparable of how to answer. But you need to be prepared for these with your STAR stories. And then finally, questions from you to the interviewer. So almost every interview will say, thanks, Katie. I really appreciated the time here with you. Those are all my questions. What questions do you have for me? And if you do not have a few questions at the ready and you're like, I don't have any questions, well, that's going to be the last time you speak to that company, because you're not going to get that job. So always come prepared with 3 interview questions at the ready. You don't need to use those 3. You can always ad-lib based on the conversation, but be prepared for that. Along the way, you will get rejected. You will get ghosted. You will get denied. Last time I was looking for a job, when I applied to 300 jobs, 47 interviews, 20 final rounds, 5 offers. So that means of the 300 applications, 295 rejections. And of those 295, 165, I still have not heard back from. That was back in 2021. I'm not expecting any responses anytime soon. You might get rejected as often as 14,481 times. And you can see here, that's how many missed baskets Kobe Bryant had. And quick on his tail is actually LeBron James. Someone actually brought this up to me. LeBron's only 50 misses away from Kobe. But what this slide is demonstrating is, despite all these missed shots, this has not stopped some of these world-class basketball players from getting back to that foul line, getting back on that court, taking their next shot.
And I can just add that on the subject of the misses and the rejections, the community at Kadima, it's really nice just knowing that you're not alone and that it's not you, it's just the process. So kind of having a community to help with that mindset and kind of keep lifting you back up so that you can keep going has been really helpful for the Kadima community.
That is a super important thing to understand. You are not the only one missing your shot. It happens to everybody. And frankly, if you're not missing your shot, if you're not taking your shot and failing, you're probably not stretching yourself far enough. So let me tell you a story about Jackie. Jackie, it took a while for her to find a job, longer than she anticipated. When she joined, she was hoping to get a job in 3 months. She got far along with Bank of New York, BNY. She got to final rounds with Tableau. She was told she was their top choice before they went with an internal candidate. She lost a lot of motivation during the time, but through working with us, she continued to progress. She continued to move forward. She continued to apply and take more shots until she finally actually got a great role at Dell, where she still is today, earning $160,000 more as in a marketing role. So she persevered. It took her longer than she anticipated. She got told no a few times at the finish line, and it's devastating sometimes to us. I've been told multiple times from companies that I am their top choice, that we are about to make the offer to you. I was talking to Adobe where they were telling me the ridiculous equity package they were going to offer me. We were talking numbers, and then like 2 days later, they're like, oh, we decided to go with the internal candidate. So this stuff can happen, but the perseverance will work. You will get a great job. And with our support, we're confident that you'll get a better job faster, more confidently. So we have not talked about money yet. And I intentionally do not talk about money until the end. And there's a very specific reason why. First off, love to hear, are you getting paid what you're worth? I'd love to hear yes or no. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Are you currently getting paid what you're worth? And if you are, I'd love to find out where you're working, because we are going to start sharing that company and that organization with our community of great places that pay people really well. I get asked this question all the time at parties, from clients, from friends, from family. How much should I make? There's lots of data out there. There's lots of boards out there. You can look at Blind. If people haven't heard of Blind, that's a good app. Fishbowl's a good app. You can look at levels.fyi, Glassdoor, comprehensive.io. There's all these resources out there that have dollars out there, have compensation, but the information is biased. The information has selection bias, and it gives you a rough range, but it does not give you the right insight. So what I'm showing you here is my last paycheck at Salesforce, my last W-2 at Salesforce. When I looked back here at levels.fyi, and at the time, levels.fyi was deemed to be the best resource for tech salaries, it said that my salary as a level 9 at Salesforce, and that's a level I was as a director, should have been anywhere between $90,000 and $428,000. First off, that's a ridiculous range. Secondly, if I were to believe that, I would not have fought for the money that I thought I was worth. And what you see up top here, the top number is 515,336. I am not showing this number here to brag or to boast. Actually, in some circles, I feel embarrassed because there were people working with me that were making a hell of a lot more than me at Salesforce. But that amount was the money that I was taking home before taxes to pay for tuition, to pay for my student loans, to pay for mortgage. And what you see in the green arrow are RSUs, restricted stock units. So as people try to understand what compensation is, the companies intentionally complicate it, intentionally obfuscate it, so that you as an employee, you as a candidate, can't compare apples to apples. But in my mind, the money that I take home on my W-2, the money that I can take to pay for my vacation or to pay my bills or to pay for my groceries, that's the only thing that I care about. And if you worry about that too soon, the companies have more insight than you, and you are going to lose that conversation, and you are going to sell yourself short. Because those numbers are ripe with lots of disinformation and lack of information and lack of clarity, and because the companies have more information than you, never, ever talk about compensation. There's only 3 times that you should talk about compensation to a company proactively. They will ask you, and we'll tell you in the next slide how to avoid that. But the only times you should ever tell a company what you want to make is A, if you know you're paid damn well and you want to anchor high. B, if you have so many damn interviews that you want to kind of head them off. And you're like, hey, unless this role is worth it for me, I'm not taking this 7th interview that I have actively in process. And C is if they give you a homework assignment, if they give you a project, before you kill your weekend, before you spend all that time on that project, make sure that you would take that role, because otherwise that's a big waste of your time. Outside of that, never talk about compensation. And the way you avoid that compensation conversation, when Amazon will ask you, and Amazon does ask you, and Google asks you, and Pfizer asks you, and American Express asks you, when they ask you, what sort of compensation are you seeking? This is how you respond. I'd like to get paid fair, paid in line and with the scope and impact of the role. That will shut them up 80% of the time. If they dig deeper, the next thing you say is, hey, I'm really excited to work at Bank of America. Compensation's not going to get in the way. If for some reason that still causes them to probe further, which I've only heard that happen one time, then you say, hey, I don't really know how GlaxoSmithKline compensates their employees. Can you share the compensation philosophy with me? Jot it down, and you can say, oh, that's very different than what I'm used to. Can I get back to you in terms of what sort of compensation I'm seeking? They'll say, sure. You'll continue on with the process, and you will never have to get back to them with the compensation you're seeking. It works every time. This is how Susan, this woman was working at American Express. She wanted to get a job in big tech. She interviewed well at Google. They asked her early on for what comp she wanted. She deflected and deferred the conversation until she got the offer. They made her an offer for $400,000. Sounds like a lot of money. It was more than what she was making at American Express. But that was the bottom of the range that she started with. And through working with us at Kadima, we were able to get her $143,000 more. So she was making $543,000, and she got $143,000 more just because she deflected and deferred, and then she negotiated from a place of strength once she had the offer. So what's holding you back from going all in on your career search? I've shared the growth framework. You know what to do. So what's holding you back? Here are some common things that we hear from clients, from friends of mine, from other people. Could be you don't have clear goals, your fear of rejection, fear of failure, no network, lack of experience. Do any of these resonate with you? What other reasons are holding you back? Let me talk about the laid off by the FANG company, by the way. Being laid off by a FANG company, that's the best company you can be laid off by. Like, you don't want to get laid off by any company, but by getting laid off by a Google, by getting laid off by a Facebook, by getting laid off by a Goldman Sachs, by getting laid off by a Chase, by getting laid off by a Pfizer, you have that company on your resume for life. And that will open doors for you. So it does suck that you lose that money. Believe me, like, I've been laid off 5 times in my career from lots of big companies, losing lots of equity. It sucks. It hurts. But being laid off, like being fired by Google, like I was, opened so many more doors for me after that and for the rest of my career. So I'm not saying go get laid off by a FANG company, but there are benefits of getting laid off by a good company.
Nana says that since joining Kadima, her confidence has soared. She's in the chat. Anybody wants to chat up somebody who's currently working with us?
That is true. And we actually measure confidence at the beginning and the end, and we see about like a 40% increase in confidence of people working with us. But does anyone know what the absolute worst thing to do in your job search is? The worst thing, and Victoria nailed it, is waiting. Whether you're waiting for the new year, whether you're waiting for Christmas, whether you're waiting for the cows to come home, waiting does not help. Waiting will just slow down the process for you to get more interviews, to get more offers, to get more money. And we have measured the results of our clients. And basically every month that you wait to start looking for a job will leave about $12,000 on the table. So the quicker that you get started on looking for that next job, the sooner you will be getting paid what you are worth. So now, how can Kadima help you, empower you? Kadima was built on a mission to accelerate 1 million careers. On average, right now, we're getting people $139,000 more. In total, we've gotten people over $9 million more in income, in annual income. We help you through preparing for the process, the branding, the personal narrative, the accountability, which is so key to make sure that you are continuing to progress along this process, because you will get defeats along the way, but we will hold you accountable. We will encourage you. We will help boost your confidence. And my favorite thing is helping with the negotiations. And then if you want to work together, all of our programs come with our foundational job acquisition method course. This is a digital course that comes with frameworks, that comes with spreadsheets. You saw the spreadsheet earlier that Marissa was using, comes with scripts, comes with exact step-by-step framework to get you more interviews, to get you more offers, and to make more money. And we regularly update these. Thanks to Darcy coming on board. She's like, hey, these are outdated. We got to update this. So we're coming out with new stuff on using ChatGPT. We're coming out with new content all the time, and you get lifetime access to our digital course. You also get group coaching and our community. Our community is ridiculously valuable. And I know some people from the community are in this presentation here today, but we have a Slack community that is super vibrant. I'm not in it because of my ADHD. and I will just be distracted. But I am in our LinkedIn group. We do have a Slack group. We do have a LinkedIn group. We have master classes. I teach a master class once a month. Plus we have the other coaches come in. I think we have 4 master classes a month or so. We have weekly groups coaching sessions, which I lead. I loved those weekly practice sessions. And again, the lifetime access. And what you see here is a weekly form that we give you to find out how you are doing with your interviews, with your offers, with the challenges you're having. Helps to hold you accountable and helps to give us insight of how we can best help you. Darcy, I want to hand this over to you because you have really kind of almost single-handedly, well, you and the community have built the community. Anything else that I missed about the community that you've built?
Some of the things that I'm really passionate about are practice. Like I really believe in just doing the work and showing up consistently to practice your pitch. Like, tell me about yourself. And then we have a timer and we're going to time you and make sure that everything is concise and polished and ready, because that's the way that I feel that the community, that we can kind of work together and support each other to really lift you up and get you on to your next job as fast as possible, to prepare you. And the other thing that I think is really fun about the community is that I have a little, it's like a hashtag introduce yourself channel in Slack. And every time there's somebody new that joins, they go back up and through everybody else. Your network continually grows forever because there's always new people coming in to add you to their community. So you do the work once for everybody else, and then from then on else, everybody's connecting with you. So those are just 2 things that I think are really fun and neat currently. And then of course the master classes. If you want a master class in something, you let me know and I'll get it set up. So there you go, handing it back.
Cool. Thanks, Darcy. And then let me just share this quick video of Ashreya. She just landed an awesome job at Amazon. It's a 50-second clip, 5-0, so it'll be pretty quick.
I had to switch gears and get into the job market. And at the time, I really didn't know where to start and what to look for. Plus, I lacked severe motivation. So I think that's one thing that you get from this program is structure that I generally didn't have. I wasn't even applying. Mostly I was just hesitating to talk to people at all times. And then joined the program around end of July, first week of August, I think I started. And by last week of August, I had an op. So purely because I followed everything that he said to a dot. That Excel sheet was my Bible. Every day I woke up and looked at it. And yeah, I started my job with Amazon on September 18th.
One correction there, we don't use Excel. We use Google Sheets. I used to be a big Excel fan, but we use Google Sheets. Some people use Excel. She might have used Excel. So what's unique to Kadima also is the accountability, care, access, feedback community. And we don't just help you get a job, but then we work with you after as well. If you want to work with us, we work with you for the long haul. And unlike other programs that charge upwards, we provide a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you join the program, for whatever reason you're not happy with it, which very few people are not, or very few people find disappointment with, you can get your money back. So we are so confident in our program that we do offer this 100% money back guarantee. So our group coaching program, if you're interested in joining, love to start working with you. Scan the QR code here. I think there's also a link in the chat. We only take 20 per month because we want to make sure that we are giving them the right experience of onboarding. Actually, 19, because we had someone sign up this morning. So we have 19 spots left. Click on the QR code, and then you will get all already. And the first 7 people that sign up do get a free one-on-one coaching session with me. We will get that set up before the end of the year to get your holiday job search kickstarted. So we're giving away 7 of those for the first 7 people that are ready to GOYA, get off your ass and get started on accelerating your career. Finally, so yeah, here's the giveaway. We call it a career mapping call. We work on your mindset, we work on action planning, and we work on positioning yourself for that better job. So first 7, get that. This program's not for everybody. We want to let you know because we don't like giving that 100, we don't like giving your money back if it's not right for you. So we like to tell you ahead of time that this program is not for everybody. If you are not resilient, if you do not have a growth mindset, if you don't trust that there is a system that will help you get more interviews, offers, and money, if you don't have a bias to action, if you're not self-accountable, if you're not motivated, there's nothing that we can do here to help you. But if you do join, And by the way, everybody here is going to get another job. I can guarantee that everybody here is going to get a better job. But if you do join, you will get a better job faster, more confidently, and with lots more money. And then some people want to know how to work with our coaches, how to work with me more directly, how to get our personalized negotiation services, how to get our personalized coaching program. There are lots of other people out there that offer personalized coaching for, like, I actually saw $28,000. I saw $26,000. I saw $18,000. Our personalized coaching program is less than $10,000. However, this is because you get direct access to me, because you get direct access, you get assigned a dedicated coach. We are limited with how many people we take in. So there's an application process. We encourage you to apply. Our focus on only taking the people in that we can help, because we guarantee to get you a job, and we are guaranteed to work with you until you get that better job. So if you're someone who wants that extra personal care, extra support, scan here to apply. There's a few simple questions, and we will get back to you, I think, today. We have some folks today that are ready to get on the call with you to figure out if this is the right program for you. And with that, let's go to the Q&A.
Is it mandatory to tailor a resume for each job application? And more importantly, which section is key to tailor if you are going to tailor it?
Question is, should I tailor my resume? No, do not tailor your resume. You can go right to our website and download our free template. The reason why you should not tailor your resume is you only have one LinkedIn profile. They're going to look at any hiring manager, any recruiter is going to look at your LinkedIn profile. Go with your plan A. If you want to get a role that is different than your resume, different than your experience, the best way to do that is build relationships, get those referrals, get your foot in the door, and then send the resume after. Do not tailor your resume for every job. In some extenuating circumstances, I recommend people to have two resumes, perhaps, but use one resume. You have one LinkedIn profile. The hiring manager, the recruiter are looking at your LinkedIn profile anyway.
Yeah, and make sure that your resume and your LinkedIn profile tell a coherent story. Anyway, second question. How do you keep up with hiring trends if you're not a hiring manager anymore?
Great question. I keep up with hiring trends because we have clients, and we have clients that share their stories with me. I just got on a call with a woman yesterday. We're negotiating an offer with her between Workday and a smaller company. I was on a call earlier this week with someone prepping her for an Amazon interview, working with someone who is getting an interview with Unilever coming up. So I find this stuff out. Like, I hear this. People share with us, and I hear what's going on. And you know what? Shit's not changing. There are a couple of tweaks that are occurring. Sometimes there are video-based interviews, maybe a 10-minute video prelude of an interview that occur at more junior level roles. It's the same.
Okay. How do you address working for so many companies, or staying in companies for less than a year and then switching jobs? Isn't that a red flag when applying for jobs or interviewing?
So the question is, what about job hopping? So I've had 29 jobs in my career. Before my last job, I've had plenty of jobs. It has never prevented me from landing those jobs. So there is an internal narrative, what has occurred, and an external narrative. So it really depends on how you communicate it. Plus, you do not need to put every job on your resume and on LinkedIn. LinkedIn and your resume is a marketing asset. It is not a full biography of every place that you have been. So choose to put the things on there that represent your story, your narrative, and choose not to put things on there. And there are other ways to subtly change the appearance to make it seem like you're less of a job hopper. But ultimately, you own your narrative. Companies will not probe of why you left. You will be surprised at how poorly companies do in terms of looking at your past background and digging into that.
How do you keep up with, oh no, I just read that one. What if the companies I want to work for aren't hiring?
Every company is hiring. The one company that I know that's not hiring is X. And I wouldn't actually recommend working for X anyway. If you go to X, if you go to Twitter's or Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, they have no job openings. Every other company is hiring. And if you have, or every large company is hiring, I should say. So Google has 1,400 jobs open now. Amazon has over 10,000 jobs open right now. I don't know all the jobs off the top of my head, but we monitor them on a weekly basis. And we look at the top 100 companies. And if you want to get the top 100 companies, go to our website. We have a list of the top 100 companies to work. But those top 100 companies, as of last week, had 185,000 jobs open. a median number of jobs of 325 jobs open per company. Companies are hiring. Like I'm telling you, like I just spoke to someone like one of our clients that she's debating 2 different offers, Workday and this other company. So companies are hiring.
What % of total clients that you're working with are seeking executive level job acquisitions at companies from $500 million to $2 billion in annual sales? And how do the metrics for success vary from your more mainstream clients?
So we do have a separate program for executives. We forgot to mention that. So for people that are going for director, VP, C-suite level, we put them in a group on the personalized coaching side. So for those people, we recommend the personalized coaching program where we give them an executive level coach, have executive level group coaching. There's actually not as much of a difference as you would expect. It's more important actually for executives, because if you think about the pyramid of jobs, there's a lot of jobs at the bottom of the rung. And as you move up on the executive rank, there's fewer jobs. So you actually have to cast a wider net of companies and build relationships. So there's some subtle tweaks to it, but it's not as different as you might think. I'm someone who has been an executive at Google, at Salesforce, at Facebook, and a lot of our coaches are executives as well. So there are some differences, and in terms of the revenue size of the company, I don't know the breakdown specifically for that, but we've helped people get jobs from startups up to Google, which is a $150 billion company. Microsoft, I think, may have more revenue. I don't know which company has more revenue. We got people jobs at all sorts of companies all across the spectrum, small, mid, large companies. We generally recommend companies that are profitable, that are large, that are growing, because those companies generally have the most funds, the most resources to give you as an employee. But you can choose whatever companies you want to look for, and then we help you figure out the right target list to hone in on your search.
All right, I'm just going to hop over here to one that was in the chat. Eliza asked a question. So she's trying to join the group coaching, and Afterpay is asking about her birthday. Hold on, I'll just do it real quickly. The reason probably that birthday is being asked is because they want to know that you're an adult and not like a small child.
So actually, that's a good point. So our group coaching is $624.25 for 4 monthly payments. If you choose Afterpay, if you want to choose all at once, you can pay $24.97. I would say, why don't you split it up in 4 payments? It's interest-free loan to you. It costs us a little bit more. It's not a big deal, but you got to choose the Afterpay section. Then you can split it up into 4 equal payments of $4.25. They ask for the age, probably for verification purposes. We don't do anything with that information.
No.
But, okay. but I can probably figure out your age by looking at your LinkedIn profile.
And does the school an applicant went to still matter? It seems like outdated criteria.
So does the school matter? Yes, it matters. So for a couple of reasons, because people focus on brands. I told a bunch of you that I worked at Google, I worked at Facebook, I worked at Salesforce. Probably very few people. My kids don't even know what the hell I did at those companies, but they know the logos, and people know the logos of schools. So school logos do matter. And the more important thing about the schools is that is an uncommon commonality. So if you went to Binghamton University, all of a sudden you can reach out to people from Binghamton University that now work at JP Morgan Chase and connect with them. So school matters because hiring managers look at it. And if you are someone that just got hired and you came from Harvard Business School, when they make that org announcement that they just are introducing like whatever, like let's say Susan Childs to the organization, they will say that Susan came from Harvard Business School. So schools do matter. People do focus on that, whether it's fair or not. It's just how life is.
And then let's see here. How are you utilizing or recommending AI, if at all?
So we do master classes on how to use ChatGPT to accelerate your career. There's lots of different ways that you can use ChatGPT, Bard, Claude. Well, Claude I haven't played with yet, but I've played with Bard and ChatGPT. There's ways that you can use AI to help identify your target companies. There's ways to use AI to help predict and questions that you're going to be asked during the interview process. There's ways to use ChatGPT and Bard to help formulate your resume, to help create star stories. And we teach you how to use these tools to accelerate your career. So there's lots of ways to use it, and we are implementing that into our course teachings. And I'm actually doing a talk. If anybody wants to go to that talk, DM me, but I'm doing a talk for Columbia Business School alum, but I can get you the access to join that talk where I'm saying how to use chat. I'm doing a talk on how to use ChatGPT to accelerate your career. So just DM me and I can get you access to that.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. We have lots of math when you join, you get access to all of the past classes as well. So we have a whole bunch of other ones, deep dives into LinkedIn profile and the AI, and a couple actually deep dives into the informational interviews. Benita, you were asking about, let's see, some language to network without showing that you want a job there. So we have all master classes on like those, and we also give you the templates that you can use. Really make the whole process as simple and straightforward as possible for you, so that you can just focus on having confidence and being you. And then of course we're here to make sure you practice and get it polished.
And that is actually a critical point, Darcy. I just want to build on what you said there. We do give you these scripts, we do give you these templates, because otherwise I've seen such disastrous situations where people will reach out to me, send me their resume and say, hey, can you give me a job? That's not how you build relationships. Like a total stranger will say that. So if you think about it, it's like dating. You're not going to go to the bar and ask someone to go home with you right away. You might, but you're probably not going to marry that person right away. Usually you have to start to have a conversation. Oh, you come here often. Do you want to go out for coffee first? Do you want to have dinner first before you go for marriage or whatever else you're going to do?
So, Benita, if you want to follow up, can you throw it in the chat so that we can follow up with that? What are your thoughts on taking on personalized coaching while also taking a full-time consulting opportunity? I've been interviewing for CMO, head of marketing roles, and it's been a long process.
The way we've developed our personalized coaching, there is no end date with us working with you. We are motivated to help you get a job as quickly as possible. We will work with you as long as it takes. If you are taking on some contract work, some fractional work to pay the bills or whatever, we do have a lot of clients that are doing that. All you need to do is carve out 10 hours per week for your proactive job search. And that's not 10 hours with me, 10 hours with the coach. It is following our system to get those interviews. Basically start now. The sooner you start, the sooner you will get a better job.
Yeah, this is a great time to start all of that, because you have all the holidays coming up, and then you can hit the ground running. Because if you take this time now to sort of get yourself in line and organized and your goals clarified, then come around January, you'll be ready to just go for it. And yeah, it'll be very exciting. Let's hear it. We should probably have one more question and then wrap it up.
There's a question about helping with job acquisition in Europe. We have customers in Netherlands. We have clients in 6 out of the 7 continents. We are still looking for our first client from Antarctica. We help people get jobs all over the world. When I worked at Google and Facebook and Salesforce, I had teams in those areas. I've worked. So we help in the Netherlands. We help you find jobs where you want to find jobs. We help people on visas as well with special strategies. If you're dealing with H-1B visas or OPT visas or other things like that, we work with you on that too. And the visa situation is very complicated. I don't know all the details of it, but I know from a hiring manager perspective where we've tried to hire talent, and there are ways to achieve that with visa restrictions. So yes, we work all around the world.
Also, Caroline, one of our coaches is based out of London. So
yeah,
she's awesome.
And yeah, and one of our clients is based in the Netherlands right now. She's not in Amsterdam, but somewhere else in the Netherlands. She used to work for Philips, but now she's looking for a better job.
Okay, last question. Any real life examples from financial services industry specifically, or also coming back to corporate after having owned your own business? So that kind of driven it,
yeah. So I don't know if the question is getting people jobs in financial services or
both. It's 2 separate questions. Same person though. What if you had your own business, but you're tired of it, you want to work for somebody else? And also, what's the experiences in the finance, basically non-tech jobs, finance?
Yeah. So a couple of things on this. One, on people moving from an entrepreneur sort of thing or a side hustle to a full-time job. We definitely work with people like that. They are actually quite not easy to work with, but easier to work with, because as an entrepreneur, you are often wearing multiple hats. So like for me, for instance, I do sales, I do marketing, I'm doing this talk, I do business development, I do finance. So I actually have a wide swath of skills, but that's not going to fit into any round hole easily. So that's why building those relationships and having those conversations are so critical. And employers will appreciate that you have had that wide array of experience as an entrepreneur. Secondly, in terms of financial services, I think after tech, financial services are our second most popular areas that we get people into. American Express, JP Morgan, we just helped a woman, actually I'm talking to her today because we're going back for a second round with JP Morgan to help negotiate with more money for her offer. So financial services we're very adept at. Like they're all the same. The one area that we recommend other coaches and organizations to is for consulting for the MBBs, McKinsey, Bain, and BCG. There are a couple of organizations that really focus on those hiring, but they are usually hiring people right out of the MBA program. That's the one area that is a little bit quirky. But we help people get into Accenture and Deloitte. It's just the MBBs, McKinsey, Bain, and BCG are a different beast.
So yes, let's wrap it up. Yes, we help people get remote jobs. Yes, all of it. It's all about networking and putting in the practice. But yeah, we're here to help you. We will. It's your world.
Oh, and the energy sector, definitely energy sector. We just worked with a guy who came from Exxon, then he went to Meta, then now he's at C3.ai. C3.ai is a big AI consulting firm. He's working in the energy sector at C3.ai and making a lot of money. Yes, we help in the energy sector as well.
If you have any other questions we didn't get to, feel free to DM Alan. He can pass them along to me or just answer them himself.
And to clarify that, when I say DM, it's on LinkedIn. I am not on X. I was not, whatever. I'm not going to go off on Elon and his stuff, but I am not on X. Oh, that sounds different.
Anyway,
DM me on LinkedIn. And the other thing I want to remind people, the holidays are coming up. We are December 1st. We're going into the holiday season, whether it's Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas. It is going to slow down with the interview process, but I really implore you to build those relationships, to start digging that well before you are thirsty. And you're probably thirsty already because you're here at this meeting. You're thirsty for a job. So use this opportunity to build those relationships, and you will get a job. I can guarantee everybody in this room is going to get a job, but you will get a better job. You will get a job faster. You will get a job more confidently if you work with us here at Kadima. And finally, last 3 words, own your career.